Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 15th. Meant to start this yesterday, but it is the start of a new reading vlog, and I physically, as I mentioned at the very end of my last reading vlog, I have started The Lost Plot by Genevieve Cogman. This is the fourth book in the Invisible Library series, and this one is starting out actually really fun. I'm loving the start of this one. I think this is going to be a fun installment, so I'm excited. I'm also, a third of the way through the audiobook of The Faithless Hawk by Margaret Owen. This follows The Merciful Crow, which I listened to on audio last year and thoroughly enjoyed. And so I'm excited to continue on with that series. And yeah, that's what I'm listening to currently. And this will probably honestly take me, I'm hoping to finish this week, but it'll probably take me most of the week if I can even finish it this week. So yeah, this is my main physical reading priority for the week. I'm going to do The Hero of Ages after this one. So I'm hoping that I can finish that this week and then turn to Hero of Ages, because Hero of Ages is pretty long. And that's the last physical book that I was hoping to read in September. So I'm not going to have a ton of time to get through that long book. But yeah, so Lost Plot will be my physical priority. And then my next audiobook, so I'm going to finish The Faithless Hawk by Margaret Owen. My hold actually just came through for One by One by Ruth Ware. And I wasn't expecting this until November. And November actually seemed like the perfect time to be able to read this, because it's set in a ski chalet or set around a ski area, and it's a group of coworkers, I believe, who are in, I don't know if it's a hotel or a cabin or something, but they're in a ski area and are in this area together, confined in this hotel or wherever they're staying, and people start dying. I wasn't expecting my hold to come through until it started to get cooler, which I figured would be a perfect time to read that. But my hold came through, and I could have pushed it because there's already enough that I was wanting to get through on my TBR this month. But I couldn't. So I went ahead and borrowed it. And so I'm going to be listening to One by One by Ruth Ware as well. And I'm very excited. I think the only other two books of hers that I have not listened to I'm planning on listening to those in October, because I love listening to thrillers in October. But holds come through early sometimes, even if it's 2 months early. So that'll be an audiobook that I listen to coming up. The other one that I really want to get to soon is House in the Cerulean Sea. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to listen to first. I have House in the Cerulean Sea on Audible, so I could listen to it any time. And I only have a set amount of time to listen to One by One. But I'm just so excited by House in the Cerulean Sea too. So it's really just going to depend on which one I'm in the mood for after I finish The Faithless Hawk. But those are going to be my plans this week. I will check in later to talk about how that's going. Good morning. So it is Monday morning, September 21st. I meant to check in on Friday because I knew this would be a busy weekend. But I have a couple of books to check in on. So I finished The Faithless Hawk by Margaret Owen. This is the second book in a duology. The first one is The Merciful Crow. So I'm not going to talk too much about the plot of the second one, but the first one follows Phi, who is a crow caste. So in this world, there are different castes, and they're kind of named after different birds. So there's the phoenix caste, the crow caste, the hawk caste, etc. And the castes have different birthrights and different kinds of magic. The crows don't have a birthright. They're kind of the lowest caste. They don't have a birthright, but they can take the teeth of people of the different castes and kind of use that for magic. And in this world, there's also the sinner's plague that's going around, and the crows are the only one who are immune to it. So they're the ones who go around and clean up and take away the bodies from people who have died from the sinner's plague. And it's just a super interesting world. In the first one, there are a couple people, including the prince, who fake their death via the plague, or they pretend that they died of the plague, and it's Fry's group of crows that come in to take the bodies away. Turns out they're not dead, they just needed to escape the palace, and that kind of sets off a whole chain of events. And they needed to escape the palace because he feared that his stepmother would kill him and is trying to take power and would make life even worse for the crows than it already is. Anyway, it's just like a super interesting world. It's a super unique world and just a pretty interesting setup, pretty interesting magic system. I really enjoyed the characters in this story, and I just had a really fun time reading this one, listening to this one. Amy Landon is a fantastic narrator, and yeah, I just had a really, really good time with this. I don't think it'll be a favorite of all time duology, but I could definitely see myself rereading this, and I want to get a physical copy of the second one. I have a physical copy of the first one from Fairy Loot, and I honestly, yeah, I want to reread this at some point. I could really see myself being in the mood to do that. And yeah, it was just overall pretty enjoyable and fun. The stakes were definitely higher in the second one, which I thought was really fun, so you could definitely kind of see a bunch of different stuff about the world come together, and could definitely feel the stakes rising throughout the story. Anyway, super enjoyable. And I also, my hold, as I mentioned, my hold for One by One came in 2 months early, and so I just went ahead and decided to listen to One by One by Ruth Ware, and I adore Ruth Ware. This is my 4th Ruth Ware book. I still have a couple of more of her backlist that I'm hoping to listen to in October, but it came available. I was like, why not? Let's go ahead and read it. And oh my god, I loved it. So One by One follows a group of co-workers who work for a company or a startup that is involved with a music app called Snoop, and you can listen to music on it, and people can also kind of see what you're listening to and listen to it at the same time as you. So you can follow a celebrity and see what they're listening to right at that moment and listen along with them. Anyway, so it's kind of a social app as well as a music app. But the people who work for this company, it's a pretty small group, but they did a work retreat at a ski chalet in the Swiss Alps, and they just want to come in for a week of fun. They also have kind of a critical decision about the business to make, so there's definitely some discussions that are going on kind of about a decision they need to make as a company. And they start to enjoy the slopes, and there's a storm coming, and so they want to get some skiing in before this storm comes. And so that's kind of this setup, and then people kind of start dying one by one, and of course that storm turned into an avalanche, and so they're kind of stuck in this ski chalet as people are dying one by one. So the perspectives you follow are one person who's part of this co-worker group and one person who works for the ski chalet and is kind of their host, I guess, for the week. And at least I don't think any of the other Ruth Ware books that I read so far actually have multiple perspectives, which was interesting, but this one has mostly those 2 perspectives, and it just kind of follows people dying one by one and them trying to figure out what's going on. It was so good. I really liked it. I just really click with Ruth Ware's writing. I just think she does builds tension really, really well. I mean, they're always pretty slow moving stories, but I think she does a really good job building the tension. And of course Imogen Church narrates, and she is just fantastic, and she also just adds another really, really cool element just with her performance to kind of help build that tension as well. And it's just fun. It's just such a fun story that I just could not stop listening to, so I finished it pretty quickly and had such a good time with it. So those are the other 2 books that I finished this week. I also did some more physical reading in The Lost Plot. I think I'm 150 pages or so into that, so the physical reading has been a little bit slow, and I knew it would be. Normally I'm able to read more physically over the weekend, but it was just a busy weekend. So 150 pages into that. Hopefully I can pick the pace up there a little bit. I also started The House in the Cerulean Sea on audio, so I'll talk more about that one as well in my next vlog. But yeah, really good reading week, and I'm pretty excited for what I have coming up as well. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content and more vlogs. And yeah, I'll also of course leave everything linked below. My Twitter, Instagram, that's where I like to hang out. Of course, I'll leave more resources for how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.